Hello world! Patricia O'Connor, Frida Reba Darcy here today in the Bonsai Balcony. We're going to start off in Pat's kitchen. Look at all those little pots. What I don't see any sprouts. There's a green speck in that one. I suspect it's a weed. More on that later. It's been, let's see, we did this, this is probably day 5 or 6. I should have seen sprouts by now, and I don't. Today's show, we're not just going to sit here and talk about seeds. Today's show is called What Have I Done? And it is, it's kind of, it's kind of a gotcha kind of a thing. No Macaulay Culkin moment here, but it's just where I go back over and I show cause and effect. We decided we were going to do this, and this is how it's looking. We decided we were going to plant 32 seeds, actually 34 seeds in 32 pots, and we explained that we had a pretty good ratio with this in the past, and so far, nothing. Could be 4 reasons for that. 4 reasons. And this comes down to, what have we done and show an effect and stuff. Reason number 1, I bragged an awful lot. about going in about our ratio. That was just me absolutely sticking my big toe in fate's pool right there. And I kind of knew I was doing it. 2, these seeds are a couple of years old, so I had a fallback if it didn't go well, which is one of the things that I suspect might be causing us to linger. 3, in years past, like the 2 years before that we've done this, I typically waited 48 hours before planting them. I'd always thought that it was supposed to be 24, but just typically would wait a day. This time I didn't, and I wonder if that maybe had a slight effect. I think less about that as a cause, but for me to say that the 2-year-old seeds are no longer viable would not be necessarily accurate, because this would have to be another factor. That this time, the other thing that I did differently this time around was I germinated them for 24 hours instead of 48. So we're going to give this a few more days, and then we'll either start seeing something happen. We've talked about what we wanted to do. We've talked about how it's going, and now we're going to go about what we're going to do about it. We expected to see more from this by now. I wasn't expecting to see a washout. It could be a washout, though. It could be that I'll let those seeds go too long, too dry. It could be that they didn't like that little bottle they were kept in, or it could be that 2 years is about all the, I've heard of seeds going a lot longer, but I would expect a drop off. I think our 100% was probably the first year we had our seeds, and in the last year or so, I would usually get them all except 1 or 2. Nothing like this. So I would do this again in a week. I would dump all of this substrate off to the side so I don't contaminate our results, and keep it, because I'm not throwing away that much perlite, but throw it off in a little bowl or dish, or wait until we do something else. Knowing that there's 20 something, 30 something seeds in there somewhere. But anyway, I would reload those and then do my seeds again and do it for the 48 hours and see if we still get the same results. And at that point, I would say whatever seeds I have left are probably in NFG, and then go for fresher seeds. So that's what's going on there. That's what we are. This is where we are with there, and that's what we'll do about it if it doesn't improve. All right, from there, we're just going to go ahead and mosey right on out to the balcony. I've got some dog treats loaded up for baby if she decides. She doesn't have to. We'll give them to her after show if she doesn't make it for this. So, all right, now that was kind of so. So we'll just that dictates you want the good news or the bad news. We'll go with some more cause and effect stuff. Our little trees that are our colander projects. The one that was in a terracotta pot and had a tube like that we had made, it died quickly. I am blaming a pocket of no substrate right in here where I did an awful job of getting that substrate to go down in there. This one has done better, and here recently it has started looking not as well. Here is what I suspect there. I had wondered whether or not this amount of light going in there would affect our results. I think it does. I think if I want to save this tree, if it's not too late to save this little tree, I should wrap that at very least wrap that in plastic. It doesn't have to also be some screen that I made. The colander does that. The colander effect is down here. This could have been a PVC tube. I work at a hardware store. I could have brought home scraps of PVC tube that would have done the same thing. They'd be hard to break loose. But on the other side, they're slick on the inside, so just pouring out the substrate probably would have. Anyway, I digress. What I'll probably do so this is a project we were doing. I don't think it's looking all that great. We did two of them. We did one in the colander, like you see, and we did another one in a terracotta pot. It died because I didn't punch the soil down there far enough. I wondered whether or not the light would affect root growth here, or whether or not that needed to be blacked out. I also wondered that on another project we had, and I blacked that out, and I saw good results having done that. So that leads me to believe that if I want to keep this little tree, and I do, plus I just don't want anything to suffer, then I'm going to put a little bit of plastic wrap around, black plastic wrap on this today. That's what we got going on. We did a lot of work to our focus. We did a lot of work to our literati Japanese black pine, and it is looking really good. It's pushing out all of those buds that we cut back super short, the head that we yanked around and pushed around and pried around, and saw cracks appear in from the amount of work we did to it. Everything is still pushing out nicely. I'm very encouraged by what I see. I'm not done with the hook. You don't see a hook. Well, it's because I haven't put one there yet. I've failed twice to put the hook in there. I have grabbed it by the pot here and grabbed it by my paws here and put the bend in it I wanted. I've yet to be able to have enough metal here to make that bend stay. So I know I can get the bend in it. It's just, what motive do I use? Do I put some object here and then bend it over the object and wire it down? What? Also, this looks ready to water. These guys look ready to water, and a couple of the other trees look ready to water. We've had a really nice time to dry out in the last 24 hours, but we've also had it's also been a little bit breezy, so everybody did dry out. But here's what our temperatures are coming around. The ponderosas seem to be recovering from their heat burn. The little Japanese black pines on the rails are just, even here personally, I noticed that they're greening up a whole lot more. And today I've got about 3 hours from now, we're going to get a wave of showers. That nothing on the rail needs to get watered. It is about to get, everything on the rail is about to get a little bit of a deluge. So I don't have that to be concerned with. This stuff in here could use some water. Probably water this side of the oak, and of my cork bark oak would make that moss happier. And I'll probably water my bald cypress, even though it'll get some water. It won't get enough. I water this fairly heavily every day. Let's just look at that. Those buttresses. You can see that change in color. That change in color is where this tree has just raised up that much. It's just like over the winter. And these guys are just going, they're going great guns. They're going bananas. They've got little cypress balls all over. This center one has little cypress balls all over them. I haven't noticed that on any of the others, but we did a lot of carving on this tree, and it didn't bat an eye. So that's our little cause and effect there. That's going. I'd say that's going nicely. The profile here is small. Everything I can carve this back a little more. I suspect there's no point in making it grow pieces to come over there. But this has been minimalized somewhat, and is looking better for it. We're just looking at all these choices, and this maroon color, this purple color in the foliage too, this kind of maroon color. And that's an indicator of where our temps have been bouncing back and forth. Not enough to freeze anything, but enough to make things, when things get really cold, they sometimes they go purple. You'll see that on succulents and cactus, and you'll see that on new foliage. Sometimes you'll see that half and half on a leaf where it was coming out of the sheath on the bud or whatever when the cold weather occurs. This is just looking back at all these little ponderosas and their lush green color. This guy's still showing us its burn, but at the same time, it's not looking bad. It's not looking bad either. But on the whole, they're all looking really good. We repotted this one not too long ago, and it's pushing out new growth all over. I'm thinking it's pretty happy with what we did to it. The needles are getting long as per what we're doing with the ponderosa. So the idea here is we feed it, we water it, we let it back bud as much as it possibly can. And at some point it will decide on its own with its energy allocation that it has to at some point make smaller needles, because it's making so many freaking needles that it can't continue to make them ponderosa length and have the abundance that it has. So at that point it will shorten back its work, its needles, and at that point we go back and we clean this tree up. Cut away the extended things that we've let go for a couple of years. We go back and we clean the tree up, and we get a couple of years, 2 or 3 years of short needles, and then we've got our and that's how an oversimplified version of how you would get shorter needles on a long needle, single flush, high elevation pine. Our coastal oak is looking good. We haven't done anything to it, so we don't have any cause and effect stuff. I'm starting to see more and more of our little salmon pink, what almost looks like yellow leaf is not. It's bright green with a little salmon red to it. As stuff comes out, it just comes out little red specks. You see them there coming out. Focus. So I'd like to see more, please, more stuff. It would not be a bad time. This soil feels a little impacted on the surface. I don't think it's in bad shape below there, but here it feels a little. Would be a good time to go in with the weenie skewer or something and just pick up all of our lumps of moss. Give this top just a little bit of a tease. We don't have a lot to do in the way of weeds, but give this top a little bit of a tease and put our moss and our bottle back down. That would aid in watering it. It has to, the whole surface has to get good and wet before it soaks up water, before it takes up water. And I don't think that's a reflection of what's going on. It's just a reflection of the increased amount of surface tension I'm seeing this year. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe it has to do with the biocold breaking down or something, but it gets really tight up here. So that's kind of what's going on with there. I don't think that's a show necessarily, but something I could be doing to make this thing water a little faster. Otherwise, we're not having any issues with that. I'm gonna go right on to this guy. This made for a busy weekend, and as you can see, it's back in its spot. Right after I got through repotting, we were in for a monsoon, and it almost like, well, instead of trying to water it enough to water all the dust out of it with my watering can, why don't we just put it in the monsoon and let that do it? The monsoon came with high winds, so the tree sat in the living room for a day, another half day. After that, I got up the following morning to a drying out world, and I heaved this guy back out, and it is already responded. It is the needles have this waxy look to them that says that's ponderosa needles. They are very happy. They can get kind of a dry look whenever they like close up their pores to hang on to their resources. And this guy looks really good. Also happy to report that when I watered, I put down a lot of moss up here to protect some of these, to give roots a place to grow. And then I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to babysit that stuff. That's not my concern. It was just dressing, right? So I watered it I took the sprinkler off my watering can and just right there. Heavy with the water. And it came through that pot really quickly. Good feeling, great feeling about cause and effect. I was concerned about this tree's ability to percolate water and move it along the water and the oxygen and all that. Our repot facilitated exactly what we wanted to do. And so yeah, and as you can see, we raised it up quite a bit. Now I've got some roots that are tucked away in that peat moss that I've kind of packed in there and then heavily watered. It will wash off on its own. I'm not too worried about it, but that'll give new roots place to run up there. I'm looking at some of this butterscotch color in here and hoping that reads. Pretty overcast day today, but like I said, we are a little bit away from getting some hellacious rain. All right, that's got that guy. It's got my pines. It's got my cork bark and my coastal and my little pondos and my big pondo. We're doing a air layer on this trident maple. I would like to make this trident maple has some of the most beautiful color when the sugars are right. It has some of the most beautiful fall color, and I felt like the tree was elongated really long, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to do an air layer. My very, very first air layer, and I was worried for a minute. I didn't see a lot of growth in there. I do now. All that, the way that little guys are twisted and spiraling around and doing that root thing. And I didn't see anything on here like that until I covered it up with plastic. I didn't understand that part. I didn't get that part, that UV, I knew UV took out roots, but I thought that, what I still didn't know was with their roots behind that, they just come up to the edge of the light and don't show up, right? No, you've got to cover that with black plastic, and I made that, and then bam, that was the missing ingredient. Like I'm thinking now, that tube should have been covered in black plastic paper to make that happen. So, pretty excited about that. That's going to make a trident. I know I just did a quick switch there. That's going to make a trident maple that is a height that is about from here to here. And here, I will probably remove this top. I will probably remove this much of this top. And I will probably remove this much of this top. And those also could all be air layers, but that would, I'm not that interested. maybe one of those. Maybe try to make one of those cool little thick logs an air layer unto itself, but I don't want to take years to it. I actually see a tree that I think I would like if it came out of the ground right here with those 3 trunks and had a nice little root base that I could put in a small flat, something like that, right? I think would be a beautiful look. And the trident, but not trident maples, my Kodahan maple forest is still budding out. I need to go through there and weed that. That is something that is, I don't know if it's next, but it's right up there, next or next to. Yeah, everybody's doing okay. It looks like our numbers are going to go pretty much unchanged. I'm seeing nice buds on everything. Last night I shot a video about this tree twice. I shot one, and I thought I would do it using my laptop, which actually that made for a weird angle. And but the other thing was, I was using a feature on the laptop that where you just turn on the laptop on the camera and it just go, and that put everything within hand's reach right there. And first thing I noticed was there was no way to do that and do our music. Okay, that was one. Actually I could, but if the music was too loud, I couldn't turn the music down without turning me down with it. So if the ratio wasn't good, all I could do was turn them both of us down or both of us up. So that meant no music. And the other thing is I did a probably a 30-minute video where I trenched this, weeded this for about 10 minutes, and then took our cutters and choppers and chopped this down from like in here down to here. Then I did a cut here, and I think that's all. We've got all these guys budding out. We've got these 2 rolls here. I like that we've got this negative space here. All of these guys are adding to the show. Chopping this piece of wood out exposed two more buds that were trying to come in behind the timbers. As some of this stuff makes itself available as branches, I could wire this and then remove this heavy block of weirdness, or I could incorporate this into the drama that is this right here. I was also trying to debate. I had a spike here and I had a smaller little wooden spike right here that I kind of thought was cool, but it left into question. I was wondering about this gap, and I was wondering about whether to hug it this way or pull it this way. And by cutting that out, I took away the question. I think that looks good. I still think there are some huge areas of wood that I haven't figured out yet if I want them to go away completely or just partially. But it's not something I have to decide right now, because frankly, I would like to see its replacement. If I got something out here, I could let that energy continue and roll and make sure it gets further along and is well established, and then possibly take away this top and start over. I don't mind this. Also don't mind this. I think this gets a little fat immediately and stays taperless and fat. You guys have seen me deal with that on these trees numerous times, and it only takes about one summer. And I would just say I cut it off here, the next sprout down here, or say I cut it off right there. This sprout right here becomes our new top. And in just a few weeks, it would be all dominant and getting fat daddy, and we would have more taper from its new top down to where we did our chop, as opposed to this kind of fat straight line that just kind of goes down all monotone right there, like ugh. So I'm encouraged by the direction that I'm going right now. I see a potential in this, in both tops even. And I'm encouraged by the idea that as we get more and more opportunities to get shoots coming out of these two veins, we will be able to take advantage of those and make lighter, smaller, more usable, believable branch sizes. And then it's just a matter of, do I see a potential for wood carving in the heavier stuff, or do I just cut it off clean? I'm more inclined to cut it off clean. This is the look at the substrate after I did the weeding and after I trenched out all the way around, pulled out a whole lot of clover. Just golly, the clover was so happy and so not happy to be sent packing. But I think we've got a kind of cool design here. Slight amount of reverse taper there. It's all good. Everything we're doing comes through there, so that could fatten on its own would be kind of cool. Or I could deliberately take some cuttings the next time around and make it a mission to propagate them. And then if I propagated a cutting, say I had a cutting from this, so it's the exact same genetics, and it was 6 months old or something, I could plant it right here and let it hug. Just let it hug in there and become part of the process. And as this guy would roll over that guy, we would have a little bit more root mass in this area coming out here, and we would also have more opportunity for more branches lower. So that's something to think about. I would like to see more stuff lower. And there's angles here where our base is better, and there are angles here where our base has got reverse taper. Where I think our lines are best are probably right in here, but we still see this narrowing of the base right there. Anyway, that is our Dawn Redwood, and then that's pretty much where we stand on that, and that's where we stand on our seedlings, our pine tree seedlings, and this is where we stand on on our trident maple. It's continued just to put out honking roots. You are doing great. You just continue to do that. And whenever I remember you leafed out late last year too, and it's not like we don't have buds. It's got a lot of buds. I hope they didn't get too cold, but yeah. Anyway, love the color. Can't say it enough. This tree responded very, very quickly to the work we did. That color for this ponderosa is a really, really nice color, and it's putting out a lot of shoots, indicating a lot of vigor. And whatever we saw about the roots, and whatever we worried about the roots, and whatever our thoughts were on the case of the roots, we were performing some things that were going to absolutely facilitate those guys. And when, as we've been told many times, the tree is putting out new growth all over, which is the tree saying, I have enough energy to continue, plus enough to start something new. And this comes from an abundance of energy. So yeah, pretty happy with the way. All in all, I would say today's time in the garden was well spent. Kind of replenishes the soul a little bit to see things that you're a part of doing well. Yeah, that ratio of things going well to that ratio of things you have no control over. It's good. It's good to see things going pretty well on the things that are ours to take care of. I appreciate you. Frida appreciates you. And Thank you all so much for watching.